To quote the United Nations, the Declaration of Basic Human Entitlement Article 1 states, "All human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights." As humans, we find ourselves in a difficult position when we become remotely aware of our enslaved state in this world. No matter the context, we long for the sense of our entitled freedoms. Whether it be freedom from work or otherwise, an escape is crucial to keep one's sanity. But can the enslavement of the gift of life itself truly be escaped while satisfying our capitalistic desires? Or is freedom sold to us using deception to keep us in an endless cycle of desperation in order to feel free? Modern day Western culture can cynically be defined as one in which is driven by the latter, either consciously or unconsciously, and whether we like it or not. Sensitive matters such as alternate cultures juxtaposing that of Western values is often appropriated and fetishized in order to sell to consumers a product such as festival tickets at monetary value they can't afford, however can't pass up. But why? Is it not logical to suggest that spending money you don't have is an appropriate way to conduct your finances? What's the motivation? One word answer: freedom, or at least a perception of or misinterpretation of freedom. However, it begs the question though, how does one sell freedom, if selling freedom is possible at all? Freedom of choice, freedom for control, and freedom from the 9 to 5. Freedom to be who you want, freedom to eat Greek, Japanese, or Brazilian, freedom to indulge in alternative cultures without judgment. And that exactly is what's on offer. Or is it? That's what the consumer is paying for, the right to be free for a weekend? Paying for your right to be free sounds funny, doesn't it? Defined as a state of not being imprisoned or enslaved, freedom at a bush festival all of a sudden doesn't sound so free. Yet why did I feel like I was? Enslaved I was not, nor imprisoned, yet free, maybe I wasn't either. At least there is choice though, right? And obviously everyone knows that choice equals freedom, right? Well, wrong. Choosing which food store you're going to be eating at isn't a choice when they have been predetermined by the event organisers. They are simply options with predetermined prices to match each other. They have been pre-chosen to give the illusion of free will. Freedom, it simply isn't. Anecdotally, looking back on my attendance to the event, culture at Strawberry Fields is figuratively and literally sold on a silver platter, through appearance and food. You want traditional style dreadlocks? There's a shop for that. You want traditional Egyptian braiding? There's a stall for that too. How about some quote unquote traditional Brazilian? They got a shop for that as well. However, the irony of it all, the person braiding, creating the dreadlocks and serving foreign food is white Australian. What if that's not your thing? How about you visit one of the many outdoor galleries showcasing traditional Aboriginal paintings and murals? No? But options means freedom, right? Simply put, it's culture used as a tool, culture used to give the illusion of new experiences and freedom of choice. The point I'm trying to make is the more and more I look back at my 4-day experience at Strawberry Fields and I review what was most appealing to me, it wasn't the sense of freedom I got from what was on offer or the endless activities I could take part in, but rather that of embracing cultures foreign to me, encouraging the same feelings of excitement and intrigue I get when travelling to a new country for the first time. This feeling is so riveting that it masks the fact that it's intentional in order to sell an experience at the cost of potentially appropriating cultures, or at the very least fetishize the culture themselves in order to claim it as a unique experience to appeal to Western civilization's profound desire to rule and conquer. Now that last part might be a stretch, but at the very least it's a prime example of anthropological fetishization in full swing. To quote Professor of Anthropology Sonia Silver's work, Along an African Border, cultural artifacts mounted on pedestals and bathed by light transforms the traditional artwork into becoming modernist cult objects. Cultural artifacts elevated to a higher plane of religious and aesthetic spirituality. This is evident at the festival, shown clearly with the intention to sell a unique feeling experience, although the fetishization is clearly heavily prevalent and extremely transparent. However, one's direct desire to embrace said freedom derives from that which is shown to consumers on the ticket, land of the free. Freedom is displayed in many ways at Strawberry. One in attendance is entitled to all sorts of freedoms, but when I truly start to question the motivations behind the freedoms offered, the less it appears to feel like the land of the free, and more like the land of the free for those who paid. In other words, the cultural significance is lost when translating it to an appropriated setting, losing the inherent meaning and importance when fetishizing it by putting it on a pedestal, figuratively and literally, all the while disguising it to the naked eye of the general consumer as a form of appreciation. It's like it's almost sold as an option of exploration itself in order to reinforce the perception of freedom to explore new culture. Lost in confusion, appreciation is quickly turned into appropriation, due to the fact that artifacts are used as a tool to entice consumers to attend and experience the freedoms they have on offer. therefore, as a consequence, disallowing those of the appropriated culture to not truly experience true expression of freedom, therefore tainting the festival's offer of being freeing for everyone. It slowly becomes clearer upon analysis that what is advertised as freedom at the festival is inherently and intentionally designed to feel so in order to sell you a product. The festival itself, again, therefore tainting the definition of freedom. No matter how it may appear on the surface, the actions and decisions behind providing choices lays a foundation for disguising the misguided reception yet intentional implementation to take the consumer's money. Consumerism is run by monetary desires that is organized as a pyramid to sell down until it cycles back around and repeats. As Strawberry Fields is freedom that is advertised, if freedom at all, is that of which is heavily filtered through anthropological fetishization, cultural appropriation, and consumerism in order to sell you the idea of freedom rather than freedom itself. At the end of the day, our goal as consumers is to chase out capitalistic desires in order to achieve freedom to be carefree and do as we please, experience new cultures without misguided intentions due to unfair appropriation from using culture as a tool to sell. To truly be free in modern Western society is to have the funds to do so, which is in and of itself contradictory to the definition of freedom, as one who has the funds has been at some point or still is a slave to the definition of consumerism itself. To say one in attendance is carefree is more plausible than suggesting the freedom itself is available for all. The harsh reality is you are sold the idea of being free at Strawberry Fields, rather than the act of actually being so. Under all the choices of food selection and unique artworks to observe, hairstyles and ketamine spoons to choose from, lies the ugly truth of the real capitalistic desires. As Strawberry Fields is freedom that is advertised is not freedom at all. It is simply the perception of freedom, that of which is heavily filtered through anthropological fetishization, cultural appropriation, and consumerism in order to sell you the idea of freedom rather than freedom itself. Carefree may be, however, by definition, the term free does not fit within the context of this situation. Therefore, proving that Strawberry Fields is not free, however, the freedom is nothing but an illusion.